Hey guys, how y'all doing? This is D Durrell, D Durrell Life Solutions. Once again, I want to thank each and every one of you for supporting the channel. I thank everybody that my most recent subscribers, those that leave comments in the comment section, those that share the video. I do appreciate you for being here and engaging in conversation with me about a variety of topics that affect our community. Today, what I would like to talk about is is the black community exhausting the resources of social service agencies? This has been something that has been talked about, particularly in the political realm, whether it's state, local, and federal government. I'm going to talk about it from a position of what I have seen as a person in the black community, also as a professional, so I can look at it from both sides. Growing up, I grew up in a town that was probably 50-50 black and white. I did not spend a lot of time interacting with the majority culture outside of school. Growing up in the town that I'm from, which is a poor town, I would say there were more people in my little town that I grew up in that were using and utilizing and living off of government benefits. What I will say that living off of government benefits, whether it's welfare, TANF, food stamps, NCI, and SSI, and other different government entitlements that we have, many of the people who utilize those resources had some certain things in common. Either they were unemployed, have a history of being unemployed, lacked higher education, issues with literacy, practice poor reproductive decisions, and in many instances they had a poor or poverty mindset. And I'm going to repeat that. Having a poor or poverty mindset keeps you in a position where you're dependent on others. However, as I began to become more cognizant and educating myself and having an increase in awareness, as I got older, I began to realize in my high school, early adult years, and I became college educated, that what I saw growing up was not representative of what the numbers say as it relates to who is really exhausting or misusing governmental benefits. You see, at the time, we were probably 11, 12% of the population as I was a youth. I think now we're approaching 14%. And the majority culture made up like 70+% at the time. And so with that being stated, the majority culture is the demographic that's using most of the resources. It's quite simple. However, the narrative, the advertisement, the programming is that it is a single black woman, never been married, 4 or 5 children, uneducated, no skills. She's sucking the state dry. You see, these are shaming tactics. This is something that is statistically not represented in the data. The truth of the matter is that the person that is really exhausting governmental benefits is a single white female between the ages of 18 and 27 who may have multiple children, who may live in a trailer park, and let's be honest, or they live in some form of housing where they are using a lot of government benefits. I will say this, food stamps and so on. What we have to understand is that in white American culture, the discussion of economics is not as freely talked about in the black community. Therefore, if somebody is on state federal governments, and they're on different entitlements and so forth, the recipient is not going to freely talk about it, whether it's to their family, friends, or in public. In African American culture, we don't find shame in it, and we openly talk about these things in the course of our life or in our environment. There's a difference. Also, you must understand is that in white culture, as far as receiving government benefits, although they're utilizing it, they're probably likelihood not to use it long term as in our community. Not that it's not present, but what I'm saying is that although that person in the majority culture may utilize it, they're probably not going to use it as long term as we do, because the biggest problem in black community is not the fact that we utilize these resources, is that it is taught from generation to generation that this is a way of life for black people. And that's the danger in it, in receiving government benefits, that other races of people don't necessarily reinforce. There are mothers right now as we speak who are educating their daughters, whether they're pregnant or not, once they get a certain age, that this is how you can basically take resources from the government. In other cultures, this is not necessarily an aspect of their culture. Also, we have to understand that if you live in larger cities that are majority black for the most part, you'll tend to see it from a visual standpoint that, wow, all of these African Americans are receiving these benefits. They're going to HUD, they're getting Section 8, they're getting the NCI, they're getting the food stamps, they're getting all types of other benefits and educational benefits to go to school and so forth. And so it creates a false perception that is not necessarily indicative of the overall picture of America, in which there are states where there's less than 5% of black people who live there, and yet it's a majority, overwhelming majority of white people who are sucking that state dry of their resources. You see, this is what we have to look at. You cannot look at it specifically in environments such as major cities and urban communities and centers and say this is what reflects the whole country. What reflects the whole country is that you will see an overwhelming a majority of black people that receive those benefits in larger cities and in the South. However, when you look at the total aggregate, you will find that in the Midwest, the Pacific Northwest, and in rural areas in all 50 states, the majority of the people that receive welfare and social service benefits, governmental benefits, are white women and white families in particular. That's the facts. And those facts are irrefutable, and it's backed up by government data. The white woman is the beneficiary of every governmental benefit, and they have the easiest process to receive those benefits, yet in that they're the least likely to talk about it. They're the least likely to make songs about it. They're the least likely to parade around glamorizing it. Some of this is our own doing as a community. We talk too much about our finances, and we talk too much about what we're getting and what we're not getting. Other groups of people don't do that. They don't engage in that like we would. And that's the difference. So please leave comments in the comment section. D. Durrell Life Solutions. Have a great day.